EU. And coming as well this hour, the UN Security Council's backing is not strictly necessary for British military action in Syria, according to Prime Minister David Cameron. We'll bring you up to speed on that as well. Hi there, live from the RT News Centre of 5 p.m. Moscow time. It's Kevin Owen with you this hour. The big story again this hour coming from France. Let's get up to speed on that. French police have led a massive raid in the Paris suburb of Saint Denis, searching for suspects in Friday's deadly terrorist attacks. Let's go live now to our correspondent Peter Oliver in a moment. Just to update you, 2 people were killed during the earlier operation. 7 have been arrested. There's no official confirmation of whether the suspected mastermind of those Paris attacks is among the dead. Peter Oliver, hopefully on the line now from Paris. Peter, hi there. Bring us up to speed. It's been another day of police action. Officially, that action ended earlier on, but we did see some action around a church in the Saint Denis area. Where are we as we speak now this hour?
Well, what we know so far is that 2 people were killed in a police operation that was carried out this morning. 7 have been arrested by the authorities. We believe that the targets of this police operation in the Saint Denis area of Paris, the suburb just to the north of the city, the targets were believed to be the masterminds behind Friday's tragic events that took place not too far away from where I am right now in central Paris. Now, the atmosphere here, though, is certainly one of caution. Around Paris, over the past few days, time and time again, we've heard of what have been false alarms. It seems that there was another again today involving an incident that took place next to a church. It is a very tense atmosphere here in the French capital. Obviously, the attacks on Friday making it abundantly evident that not just the people of France, but of course the people of Europe and people around the world are able to become targets of ISIS, and there is deep concern about that.
All right, Peter, thanks for the update for now. And of course, what happened from Friday evening onwards has had big repercussions. Those massacres in Paris have marked a turning point, not just for France. Both French and international leaders are warning that Europe and the rest of the continent could be on the brink of war.
What happened in Paris and near the Stade de France is a war. And in the face of war, the country has to make appropriate decisions.
We are at war against terrorism.
We are facing a 3rd world war against humanity, and this is what brings us all together.
We are hearing that word more and more, and the media's been running with the same kind of message too, with headlines warning of military action arriving on Europe's doorstep. The attacks in France have given rise to concerns over a homegrown threat in Europe then. That's because most of the attackers identified so far and the suspected mastermind had French or Belgian passports. Only one of them is believed to be a Syrian citizen who entered the EU as a refugee. Meantime, the investigation into the Paris attacks crossed the border from France over into Belgium, where several suspects were living. Belgian police have raided the infamous Molenbeek district over the last 24 hours in Brussels. That's known as a hotbed of Islamic extremism. RT's Daniel Bushell went there for us.
To my right is the centre of Brussels and of Europe, the capital of the European Union. It's full of trendy shops and restaurants and boutiques. But if I cross just a few meters over this bridge which separates the 2 riverbanks, it's quite a different picture. The contrast really couldn't be any clearer. This is the notorious Molenbeek suburb of Brussels. It's one of the most ethnically diverse areas of the country, and also one of the most deprived and poor. But it's not this which gives the Molenbeek area its infamous name. This region has produced one of the highest concentrations of Islamist jihadists who have crossed into Syria and Iraq to join terrorist organizations such as ISIL.
Here in Molenbeek, it's now the 2nd or 3rd generation of migrants. There is a problem of a small minority who doesn't accept the society.
A lot of young people from here went to fight in Syria and in Iraq. We know this problem since a lot of years. The politicians has to do something here, control the mosques, control the people.
The government has really struggled to provide answers, and the locals are very concerned as to why a country as small as Belgium has the highest concentration per capita of such radicals residing in this region. And as the investigation continues, it's clear that after these attacks, Europe will never be the same again, as governments struggle to adapt domestic and foreign policy to a growing terror threat and a growing divide between communities.
Yeah, grim prognosis. Daniel Hawkins there. Now, 2 international Air France flights heading from the US to France have made emergency landings over bomb scares overnight. The airline confirmed that the flights were diverted because of what they say was an anonymous phone call received after takeoff. Both those planes did land safely, the first of them in Salt Lake City, America, the other in Halifax, Canada. Airport police and multiple agencies surrounded those planes shortly after they both landed. They say passengers were taken off safely from the planes. According to Air France's official site, they will resume their journeys after thorough investigations are carried out. The bomb threats came just days, of course, after the terrorist attacks in Paris, which killed 129 people. Since then, fears of more terrorist attacks have spread quickly across Europe. The German city of Hanover last night on high alert, 3 times, in fact, it was on alert. Public areas were evacuated because of a, quote, concrete terrorist threat, according to the country's interior minister, but all those 3 alarms later proved to be false alarms. All right, well, let's pick up on the thought, this word war being used so much now that we're hearing from so many politicians seeing in the headlines as well. Let's go live to Lieutenant Colonel Bassir Haider, a former Pakistani Army spokesman. Sir, thanks for joining us live on the line. You're live on RT International. Francois Hollande claimed France is at war with terrorists. He said that very soon on, didn't he? As a NATO member, can France now expect help from the rest of the bloc?
I'm sorry, I couldn't get your question, please.
OK. Francois Hollande, very soon after the attacks on Friday, said that France is at war with ISIL, with ISIS. Can he count on his neighbours in the rest of Europe to be at war with him against ISIL?
I'm sorry, I'm not getting you...
Maybe, sir, we might come back to you a little bit later because we've had a bit of a problem, I know, just before we came to you getting the line-up. Can you hear me? We'll have one more go. Do you think that President Francois Hollande, sir, can count on the rest of Europe in France's war against ISIL?
No, I'm sorry, I can't.
That's okay, so we're going to pre-record it and come back to you later. Sorry about that. We do appear to have a rather awkward line to you there. That was Lieutenant Colonel there from the Pakistani Army. We'll come back to him just a little bit later.